Okay. Hey, everybody. I know I'm a little late to the punch, and I know many of you probably don't want to hear this, but I at least need to say it to get it out of my system. I live in Ohio. I live not really close to Dayton, but the the whole mass shooting thing is kind of close to my heart because I've been in a couple of situations where something like that almost happened or was going to happen and was thankfully stopped. But God, this is insane. This is absolutely fucking terrifying. It's insane and it's crazy, and it needs to stop. It, it, recently, Republican lawmakers, and let's just keep it real, it is Republican lawmakers mainly, they've done it before, who are saying that somehow video games is the cause of these mass shootings, and for fuck's sake, it's not. It's very clearly not. Like, you can make the argument that it desensitizes us to violence, right? You can try to make that argument. Like, actual studies and science has proven that incorrect. But what is very clear that has what has actually desensitized us is the sheer fact that it keeps happening over and over and over again. It's not me sitting here playing The Witcher or Dragon Age or Saints Row 2 or BioShock, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, even though I hate Call of Duty, and I'm probably gonna get shit for that. Um, any video game that does not make me a violent person. The problems I have can make you a violent person. That's but what I do to quell said problems does not make me violent. But we keep going in this cycle of tragedy and arguing with no solutions being made. None. Absolutely no solution being come to. And it's absurd. Most people who own guns in this country are like, hey, let's get some common sense gun control going. Let's get some legislation going. Let's figure out a way to get this to stop happening, because it's exhausting that every time we look up at the news, there's another 20, 30, 40 people shot and half as much dead just because lawmakers have the sheer audacity to not take action because they're getting money from organizations like gun companies and the NRA. It needs to stop, or it will be you. It's not when. It's not if, it is when. A couple of years ago, there was you all might remember hearing about this on the news. A couple of years ago, I was in the I think it was the 11th grade or the 10th grade. I can't remember which. All I can remember is I was getting ready to go on a field trip. But there was a bomb threat to every MHS throughout the country. It was just a vague bomb threat to an MHS high school. And my entire school thought we were all gonna die. Because it just keeps happening. And Republicans will sit around on camera, in Congress, on C-SPAN, and say, it's not guns, it's mental health. Okay, sure. It's not guns, it's mental health, right? Then why won't you invest in something to fix mental health? Why? Why won't you? You want to keep taking money from the gun lobbyists? Sure. But invest in something to help mental health coverage. Why won't you do it? Oh, wait, it's probably because the insurance companies probably told you not to. Or also the gun companies might have told you not to. Because, you know, every time a mass shooting happens, gun sales go up. To the point that as of now, I'm over the age of 18, so I can legally buy a gun with going through the background checks and the stuff like that. I could legally buy a gun, and I've had the thought once before, but I personally don't like guns. I don't think it should have to come to something like that, because we as a species have the right and the privilege to go outside and not constantly worry about our own damn lives. Enough is enough. Do something. I mean, I get it. Nobody's gonna, nobody on the internet is probably ever gonna listen to me because I am a progressive. I'm a liberal, a libtard, a cock, as the right wing likes to say. But for God's sake, for any God you believe in, do something. Or else it's just not gonna stop. And then you will not have an immigration problem, which you don't. We've had an influx of immigrants coming in for God knows how long, but the only reason it's an actual crisis is because of the policies that Trump has put forth. And yes, it is Trump. The deportation policy started under Obama, but they had actual procedures to go through and didn't just involve locking people up in basically what amounts to concentration camps. They had actual procedures, but because he doesn't like Mexicans, he just forgoes all procedure, all law, to make sure it's done the way he wants it done. But neither here nor there. You won't have an immigration problem if this keeps happening. You're going to have an emigration problem. That means people are going to start leaving. People are going to start moving. Because just like with South American countries that are run, or South American towns that are run by the cartels, or cities here that are overrun with gang violence. Why do people leave places? Because they can't survive in those places. And it really pisses me off how just today, just recently, I've seen a ton of gamers who days previous I would see on posts being like, yeah, Trump, yeah, whatever. Excuse me. And they just are all of a sudden all mad because he decided to insult your hobby? Are you kidding me? Do you have no morals? Like, one of his first speeches were that Mexicans were criminals and rapists and constantly bringing in drugs to our country. And yet, you wait 2 years and have him insult your personal hobby to get out of the depression that this country is overrun with. Excuse me. And now you're mad? Get out of my face with that. You have no right to be mad about that and that alone if everything else you just let it fly over your head like it's nothing. Republicans have been calling video games the reason for mass shootings for decades. Why aren't you mad then? I know most gamers now are, my age in the 18 to 28, well, let's say 18 to 30 range, but What? Are you just part of that large percentage of the American public who doesn't care about politics? Because if you are, you need to care. Politics is not something you just forego for years, days, for months, days, and years on end and just forget about until somebody says something that you don't particularly like. Politics affects us day in and day out. And it's not something you can just argue against. It's not. It is involved in literally everything that we do in some way, shape, or form. That's like it's like when people say they don't like politics in their video games, when politics can be a very natural way of telling stories. Matter of fact, it might be the only way we tell stories. Think of the great classics. You got Hamlet, Beowulf, or things or things that we like now, like, I don't know, what are some popular franchises? Assassin's Creed, Wolfenstein. People got mad at Wolfenstein because they played on Trump's slogan to, like, make America Nazi free again. The game is about killing Nazis. How are you mad at that? You should not be mad at that. And if you are, there's a clear problem. But politics is everywhere. It is in almost everything we do. It just, the only difference is really what kind. You've got people joke about corporate politics. Well, that exists. It's what you call politics in your little realm. But trade laws affect what you buy and how expensive or cheap it is. That's politics. Food packing laws affect whether you get sick off of the meat that you bought yesterday. That's politics. It may not be constantly changing, but that's still politics. The sheer fact that I, as a black man, can sit in front of this computer and make a video ranting about mass shooting Republicans and politics started with politics. I am not in chains farming on some Arkansas fucking sugar farm or whatever, or cotton farm, or beet farm. Let's just go with that, since I just finished watching some of The Office. For the sheer fact that politics exists. Politics is not an inherently bad thing to have in your media. It is the storytelling that is written around it. So when it's terribly written, that's when you think it's terrible. But in games like, alright, we've been recently playing it for God knows how long, The Witcher involves the third military invasion of a massive empire to the south. The second game had an entire coalition against said empire, and the discussions and debates surrounding the fact that northern kingdoms who kind of hate each other are going to band together to keep their sovereignty. Dragon Age Inquisition went straight for religious politics, with the Templars and mages massacring each other over the fact that some religious icon thousands of years ago said a specific thing, but since it's unclear whether she was a mage or an actual god, they just subjugate mages for no reason and then wait for somebody to figure it out, because the clerics, who are the entire bastion of Theodosian politics, can't figure it out themselves. It's absurd to dislike politics like that, because it's everywhere. So to my viewers and to whoever see this, for God's sake, care, pay attention, do actual research, stay away from places that constantly lie, like Breitbart or the Daily Wire or the Daily Caller, because they're not actually there to inform you. They're there to tell you what you want to hear or what will scare you the most. I'm not here to tell you what side of the spectrum to be on, but for God's sake, just care. I don't care if you vote for Republicans, but just vote. Be engaged. And maybe we can stop this all from happening again. Because I don't want to be a statistic of any kind, man. And I know you don't either. So, please, for the love of God, please, just care. If not for me, if not for your neighbor or the other 350 million people we got in this country, do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it so that the people you know and love can have at least a future, if not a better one. Because when you stop caring, that's when the people who want you to not care run wild. And that's never good for any of us. I'm sorry. This is the Emperor. I'm out, y'all.